Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. Life will take you places you never expected. It'll throw challenges at you that seem impossible. It'll test you, break you, stretch you. But the question isn't if you'll go through trials. The question is, who's leading you through them? See, when you try to lead yourself, you stumble. You take the wrong turns. You chase after things that don't fulfill you. You run after approval, after money, after success. And when you get there, if you get there, it still feels empty. But when you let God lead, oh, now we're talking about something different. When you let God lead, you move in purpose. Life is no longer a random series of events, no longer a chaotic chase for success, approval, or status. It becomes a journey with meaning, with direction, with divine orchestration. See, too many people are out here wandering. They wake up every day with no sense of why they do what they do, just following the motions, surviving instead of thriving. They work jobs they hate, chase things that leave them empty, and wonder why they feel lost. But the moment you let God take the lead, everything changes. You stop living for the applause of the world and start moving towards something greater. You start seeing that every setback is a setup for something better. You start realizing that nothing in your life is wasted. Not the pain, not the disappointments, not even the mistakes. When you let God lead, you understand that even when things don't make sense to you, they make perfect sense to Him. You begin to trust that every challenge you face is refining you, shaping you, preparing you for something you can't yet see. When God leads, He doesn't take you down the easy road. No, He takes you down the right road. And sometimes that road is rough. Sometimes it's steep. Sometimes it's lonely. You might not always understand why certain doors close, why certain people walk away, why certain seasons of struggle last longer than you want them to. But when God is leading, you know deep down that there's a purpose behind it all. You know that what looks like a delay is actually divine timing. What feels like a rejection is actually God's redirection. And here's the thing, when you walk in purpose, the distractions lose their power over you. You stop comparing your journey to someone else's. You stop chasing things that don't align with God's plan for you. You stop living for temporary gratification and start investing in eternal impact. Because you know that what you're building, what you're becoming, is bigger than just you. Purpose gives you confidence, it gives you peace, it gives you the ability to stand firm when life tries to shake you. You might not always know the next step, but when God is leading, you trust that the path is already laid out. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to control every outcome. You just have to stay obedient, stay faithful, and keep moving forward. But let's be real. Letting God lead isn't always easy. It requires surrender. It requires faith. It requires you to let go of your own plans, your own timing, your own need for control. It requires you to trust even when you can't see the way. And that's where so many people struggle. They want to believe, but they're afraid. Afraid of the unknown, afraid of failure, afraid that God's plan won't align with their own desires. But let me tell you something. God's plan for you is far greater than anything you could ever imagine for yourself. His purpose for your life is bigger, deeper, richer than anything this world can offer. When you let God lead, you start seeing doors open that no man can shut. You start seeing opportunities appear that you never could have created on your own. You start experiencing a kind of peace that doesn't even make sense. A peace that says, even in the storm, I know I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. That kind of faith changes everything. That kind of faith gives you power. So don't waste another moment wandering. Don't waste another moment chasing things that were never meant for you. Put God in front. Trust His direction and walk boldly in the purpose He has set for you. Because when God leads, you don't just live, you thrive. Kami Allah, fale ra'ale, When God leads, doors open that no man can shut. See, life is full of closed doors, opportunities that slip away, plans that don't work out, moments where you feel like you've hit a dead end. And when you try to force your own way, it can feel frustrating. You knock and knock, but the door won't budge. You push forward, but everything pushes back. That's because some doors aren't meant for you. Some paths aren't yours to walk. And when you try to open doors that God has closed, you end up walking into situations that aren't meant to bless you, but to break you. But when you let God lead, you don't have to force anything. You don't have to beg for opportunities. You don't have to manipulate situations to work in your favor. When He is in control, He will open the right doors at the right time. And when God opens a door, no one, not your enemies, not your past, not even your own doubts, can shut it. Sometimes the door God opens won't be the one you expected. You might have had a different plan, a different vision, a different timeline, but God's way is higher than our way. What looks like a missed opportunity to you might actually be divine protection. What feels like a setback might actually be setting you up for something greater. That job you didn't get, that relationship that didn't work out, that dream that didn't go as planned, maybe, just maybe, that wasn't rejection, it was redirection. Maybe God was saying, I have something better. The problem is, too many people give up when they face closed doors. They take no as a permanent answer, instead of seeing it as a step in the right direction. They get discouraged when things don't work out on their timeline. But faith means trusting that every door that stays shut is just as much a part of God's plan as the ones that open. It means believing that even when you can't see the full picture, God is still working behind the scenes. And let me tell you something, when God opens a door, you won't have to force it. You won't have to fight for a seat at the table. You won't have to compromise who you are just to fit in. When it's your time, it's your time. When it's your blessing, it's yours. Nobody can take what God has for you. No amount of jealousy, no amount of opposition, no amount of negativity can stop what God has already declared over your life. But you have to be patient. You have to be obedient. You have to be willing to wait on God's timing instead of rushing ahead with your own. Because if you try to open a door too soon, you might not be ready for what's on the other side. See, God isn't just preparing the blessing for you. He's preparing you for the blessing. He's building your character, strengthening your faith, and making sure that when you step through that door, you're equipped to handle what's waiting for you. So don't be discouraged by the doors that won't open. Don't waste time banging on doors that God has closed. Instead, stay faithful, keep trusting, keep preparing. Because when God says yes, it doesn't matter who said no. When God makes a way, it doesn't matter how many obstacles were in your path. And when God leads, He doesn't just open doors, He blows them wide open, making it clear that the path you're walking is exactly where you were meant to be. So walk boldly, walk with confidence, and trust that the doors meant for you will open in His perfect time. Because when you let God lead, nothing and no one can stand in your way. When God leads, fear loses its power. One of the greatest barriers to success, to fulfillment, to peace is fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown. It holds people back from their true potential, keeps them stuck in comfort zones, and paralyzes them from stepping into the greatness that God has already designed for them. Fear whispers lies, telling you that you're not enough, that you can't do it, that you'll never make it. It tries to keep you bound by your insecurities and your past mistakes. But when you let God lead, fear doesn't get to control you anymore. You don't have to be a slave to your anxieties and doubts, because faith and fear can't coexist. One has to leave when the other enters. And when you allow God to take the wheel, His presence fills you with a peace that surpasses understanding. You stop looking at your circumstances through the lens of fear and start seeing them through the lens of faith. Fear tells you you're not qualified, you're not good enough, you don't have what it takes. But when God is leading, you realize that His power is made perfect in your weakness. It's not about your ability, it's about His strength working through you. You don't have to have all the answers, you don't have to know every step, and you don't have to be perfect. God will provide exactly what you need when you need it. So why be afraid? Why doubt? When God is with you, there's nothing to fear. Now, that doesn't mean you won't feel fear. Fear will still show up. But when you're walking with God, you'll have the strength to face it. Fear no longer holds the grip it once did because you know that you're not walking alone. When fear rises, you can speak the word of God over your life. You can remind yourself of His promises, His faithfulness, and His power. Fear can try to creep in, but it cannot stay. And let's be honest, sometimes fear is a natural response. When we're stepping into something new, something unknown, something that feels bigger than us, fear is often right there beside us. But it's how we handle it that matters. Do we let fear stop us? Do we shrink back because of it? Or do we press forward, trusting that God's got our back? When God leads, you realize that you don't have to face fear on your own. You don't have to carry the weight of your worries by yourself. You can cast your fears upon Him, knowing that He cares for you. You see, when fear tries to take control, God's peace is there to counteract it. When you allow God to lead, He fills you with a sense of calm that doesn't make sense to the world. He gives you the confidence to take steps even when the path isn't clear, because you know He's got the bigger picture. Fear might be loud, but faith is louder. And when you choose faith over fear, you become unstoppable. One of the most freeing things you can do is to acknowledge that you don't have to have it all together. You don't have to be fearless to follow God. In fact, God uses people who are scared, who are unsure, who feel inadequate. He takes those who are trembling in their boots and turns them into warriors. Because with God leading, you don't have to rely on your own strength. You rely on His. And when you put your trust in His power, there's no fear that can keep you from walking in your purpose. So let fear be your signal to trust. Let it be the reminder that God is calling you to something greater. Let it be the catalyst for your faith to grow stronger. Every time fear tries to whisper in your ear, speak louder. Declare that you are not afraid. Declare that God is with you. Declare that nothing will stop you. Because when you let God lead, fear has no choice but to step aside. And you walk forward with faith, with confidence, and with the peace of God that fills you from the inside out. The right path isn't always the easiest. In fact, when you let God lead, the road ahead can be tough, challenging, and filled with obstacles. But understand this, God's plan isn't about comfort, it's about transformation. It's not about taking the easy way out, but about shaping you into the person you're destined to become. When you walk in faith, the path may not always be paved with gold, but it will always lead you exactly where you need to go. See, we live in a world that loves shortcuts. We want quick fixes, instant results, and easy success. But real growth doesn't come from taking the easy road. It comes from the struggle. It comes from facing challenges head on and pushing through when things get tough. You've heard it before. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Well, it's true. Every difficulty, every trial, every setback you face is not meant to break you, but to build you. When God leads, the journey can be uncomfortable. You might have to let go of people, places, and things that no longer serve your purpose. You might have to walk away from a situation that feels familiar and secure, but holds you back from your destiny. You might even have to deal with moments of loneliness and uncertainty, where it feels like you're walking through a desert, but that's where your faith is forged. God doesn't promise an easy life. He promises that He will never leave you, that He will be your guide, and that He will be with you every step of the way. The right path isn't always smooth and it's not always clear. There will be times when you feel lost, when you wonder if you're even on the right track. There will be moments where you question your decisions, your faith, and your purpose. But trust me, when you let God lead, He will show you the way. It might not be the way you thought it would be, but it will be the best way for you. It will be the way that shapes you into who you are meant to be, even if it takes you through some tough seasons. The key to following God's lead is understanding that His ways are higher than ours. He sees what we can't see. He knows what we can't know. While we may want to take the shortcut, God is more interested in our growth and our character. He's more concerned with what's happening inside of us than what's happening around us. When we go through hard times, it's not because He's punishing us, but because He's refining us. He's building resilience, faith, patience, and perseverance. The person you're becoming is worth the struggle. You are not just being tested, you're being prepared for something bigger, something greater, something beyond what you can imagine right now. And while the road may be tough, there's a power in knowing that you're not walking it alone. When God leads, you don't face the challenges on your own strength. You lean on Him, trusting that He will provide everything you need. In the moments when you feel weak, He is your strength. In the moments when you feel unsure, He is your confidence. You might not always have the answers, but you have the assurance that God is working things out for your good, even when you can't see it. The journey is about more than just getting to the destination. It's about who you become along the way. Each step you take in faith, each struggle you overcome, shapes your character. You become stronger, wiser, more compassionate, and more connected to the purpose God has placed inside of you. The road may be long, but every step is worth it. So don't be discouraged when the path gets hard. Don't lose hope when the road ahead seems uncertain. When you let God lead, the hard moments are never wasted. They are part of the process that prepares you for the next chapter of your life, a chapter that will be filled with purpose, fulfillment, and blessings beyond your wildest dreams. Keep walking, keep trusting, and know that even when the road gets tough, God is leading you exactly where you need to go. When God leads, you inspire others to follow. Your journey isn't just about you. It's about the people who are watching you, learning from you, and being influenced by your example. Whether you realize it or not, you are a reflection of the faith you carry. When you walk in the purpose that God has set before you, others will see the light in you, the peace in your heart, and the strength in your steps, and they will be drawn to that same light. Your journey of faith becomes a beacon of hope to those who are struggling, doubting, or searching for a way out of their own challenges. You may not always see the impact you have on others. It might not be obvious at first. But trust me, people are watching. They're watching how you handle the storms, how you deal with setbacks, how you respond when things don't go according to plan. And when you allow God to lead you through all of that with grace and faith, you become a living testimony of His power. You show people that it's possible to rise above their circumstances, to trust in God even when life is hard, and to walk with purpose in the midst of uncertainty. But the beauty of this is that it's not about your perfection. It's not about having everything figured out or being flawless in your walk of faith. It's about showing up day after day, trusting that God is leading you, and being real with the struggles you face. It's about being honest about the moments when you feel weak, when you don't have all the answers, but still choosing to trust in God. That authenticity is what speaks volumes. People don't need to see someone who has it all together. They need to see someone who is willing to take steps forward in faith, even when they don't have all the answers. As you walk in the direction God has for you, you give others permission to do the same. Your courage becomes their courage. Your faith becomes their faith. You inspire them to trust God with their own lives, to let go of control, and to believe that they too can experience the kind of peace and purpose that you're walking in. Your journey becomes a living example of the power of surrender. When you let God lead, you're showing others that they don't have to go it alone. They don't have to figure everything out on their own. They can trust in a God who is bigger than their fears, bigger than their doubts, and bigger than their problems. And here's the thing. When you let God lead, it's not just about those who are watching you from a distance. It's about the direct influence you can have on the people around you. Whether it's a friend, a colleague, a family member, or even a stranger you pass by, your walk of faith leaves an imprint. You might speak words of encouragement in someone's life, or simply live out your faith in a way that gives them hope. Your actions can spark something in them that leads them to ask questions, to seek more, and to want to follow the same path. In times of struggle, when things seem uncertain, people are often looking for someone to guide them. When they see someone who has found peace despite the chaos, someone who is walking with confidence even when they don't have all the answers, they will want to know why. And that's when you have the chance to point them to the one who is leading you, God. You become the vessel through which others can come to know him, and that's a powerful thing. So understand this, your journey isn't just about your own growth. It's about the people you touch along the way. The more you allow God to lead you, the more you give others the opportunity to see his work in your life. Your faith can be the spark that lights someone else's fire. Your courage can be the push they need to take their first step. And your example can be the light that guides them to the same peace, purpose, and power that you've found. When God leads, you don't just live for yourself. You live for others. You live in a way that points people to something greater than themselves. You live in a way that makes others want to follow the God who is guiding you every step of the way. Your journey is a testimony that God's love, grace, and power are real. And when people see that in your life, they will be drawn to it.